We're live. Today we're doing some more fun stuff with our rainbow caramel that we had last week for the pretzel treats. And today we're going to do some rainbow caramel filled candy bars. So I have a couple different molds here because I want to try a couple different ones, but I need to start melting down. 1 second. I need to start melting down our chocolate melts. Here I'm using my favorite dark chocolate. So I'm going to pop this, or dark chocolate melting wafers, I should say. I'm going to pop these into the microwave and start with about 30 seconds. These do start to melt really fast. And of course, I do not want to burn them. I don't want to waste my good stuff. So, and then I also have a few pieces of rainbow caramel here. It's just out of the fridge, so it's really firm, but in order to kind of work it into the molds a little bit, especially these thinner ones, I want to make it a little bit pliable so I can maybe stretch it a little bit so it'll fit better in these. So I have it on a microwave safe plate on some parchment paper. So we're going to heat that up a little bit to work with it a little bit better. Okay, so this is after 30 seconds. Just got a little bit of melting going, but definitely need some more time. So I'm going to do another 30 seconds. Okay, and of course I have my handy offset spatula that we'll use to kind of clean up the mold after we pour it in, shake out the excess, do all that kind of fun stuff. So, let's see, I think we have everything ready to go. Just waiting for our melts. So, like I said, I used this rainbow caramel in last week's live to make a fun pretzel rod or caramel wrap pretzel rod. So make sure to check that out. And I also, of course, have a longer shorts video on how I made this caramel and all of these, fun layers and everything. So make sure to check that out as well. I put that out last Friday. And of course, this week's shorts theme was tie-dye cupcake week. We have our final one coming out today. So make sure to check that out because I've been playing around with the tie-dye technique on cupcakes because it's been a long time since I've done that. So it's been kind of fun to experiment a little bit more with that one. Hello, thank you so much for joining. Happy Friday. I feel like this week went by so fast. Okay, you can see a couple little pieces in here. So I'm just going to continue to mix a little bit, let that residual heat kind of melt the rest of it. Because we don't want to overheat our melts. If we do, we could get some streaks in it. We don't want that. Hello, thank you so much for joining. Okay, I think we look good. I think there's just like maybe some little air bubbles, but I don't see any unmelted pieces. Are you tempering chocolate? Unfortunately, no, I'm still iffy with tempering chocolate. So these are some dark chocolate melting wafers, which kind of act a little bit like tempering, like a little bit like tempered chocolate, but not quite. So I use these in the meantime until I can get the tempering process down a little bit better. But we're going to add some of this to our molds here. So I have this these are all pretty thick molds because I definitely like a lot of filling. That's where, all the good flavors coming from. Try to pretty much fill it all the way. I think I might do these two as well, just have a whole variety, but I think I need some more melts back in my bowl first, so. We're gonna start with this one, give it a nice tap, tap, tap on the counter. Help get rid of some of those air bubbles, especially, sorry. Allergies are kicking a little bit today. Because of all the little grooves and everything, it's easy to get some air bubbles trapped, and that means that, you're not gonna have, the perfect image from the silicone mold that we're working with. Hello, thank you for joining. Just tapping on the counter, we can see kind of like little air bubbles coming up here. Just trying to make sure we get rid of all of those imperfections. Hello, thank you for joining. Happy Friday. Okay, we have our bowl and we're gonna pour our melts right back into the bowl very carefully. Usually I would flip it completely upside down to make it a little more even, but my bowl is not as big, so I was using another one, the bigger size, for something else today. I'm scraping off some excess here. Can kind of shake it upside down just a little bit. Shake out some of that excess, make it nice and thin. Okay, so that looks pretty good. I can see there's some excess right here because like I said, usually I would flip it upside down and be able to shake it so it's more even, but we can just kind of tap it back on the counter just to kind of let those excess melts settle a little bit. And we're gonna leave that one for a second. I have chalk on my fingers. Okay, then we're gonna go back to this one. And now that we have some more melts from our first bar, we're gonna add some more melts here. I'm just gonna do this one now too. That's pretty good. A nice tap, tap, tap. And with this one, because it's not filled all the way, I'll take my spoon and just kind of like work it up the sides a little bit, just to make sure they get at least a little bit of melts. And the melts that I'm using are from Stover and Company, and they are the dark chocolate European coating compounds. So they're a much higher quality one. That's why I like to use this for especially hot chocolate bombs, as well as candy kind of stuff like this. It just has a really great flavor. It's a little bit hard to do this one because there's 3 different sections, but I'm trying to, ooh, see, I have a little leakage going on the side. That's okay though. I'm trying to tap, tap as best I can to get rid of those air bubbles here. And bring our bowl back so we can dump it back in. Sometimes I'll have like a piece of parchment paper and dump it on the parchment paper, let it set, and then just pop it back into a bowl to melt. So that's usually the easier way to do this. But I didn't set myself up for that today. Just pouring it back in, shaking that excess out as much as possible. Shake, shake, shake. Okay, and then we can use our offset spatula to kind of clean up. I know it's hard with the camera angle, but kind of clean up the edges of the molds. I definitely needed my bigger bowl, but like I said, I was using it for something else. Made some white chocolate ganache last night, then it's still in that bowl. All right, so see, just kind of cleaning up the sides, scraping off the excess. Just like that, and then just like with our other one, you can kind of just let it settle and set. And I definitely need to wash my hands now. Okay, so to make this set a little bit faster, I'm gonna try popping this onto a sheet tray and put it into the fridge. It'll be a little bit tricky, but I think we can make it work. Okay, ha, I avoided the little chocolate clump at the bottom of this parchment paper. So we got it on our sheet tray. I'm gonna pop this into the fridge. It should only take a couple, like maybe a minute to set. It really sets pretty quick. Okay. While we're letting that set, I'm going to take our rainbow caramel here and pop it into the microwave and just do little segments of heating. So I'm going to start with maybe 15-20 seconds. I just want to start to very lightly melt it because it is still, like, it's getting a little bit more pliable, but I want it to be where I can stretch it a little bit and, you know, we can actually put it in the bar without it breaking the mold or breaking our shell that we're making. So popping this in here. Like I said, just start with 15 seconds. It's better to go under the amount and do a few more sessions than do way too much. So I want to make sure that we avoid that for sure. Okay, let's check on, I'm trying to clean up my chocolate bowl here at the same time because it got messy. Very, very messy. All right, this is after 15 seconds. Hello, thank you for joining. Okay, ooh, that got a little bit softer in spots than I expected. Okay, that actually worked out really well. That's actually exactly kind of what I was thinking, where I can still handle it, but I can definitely pull it to kind of make it thinner to go in our bars. This is perfect. Maybe a little bit too soft right there on that spot. Right here, but overall, I mean, I can stretch it a little bit. I can kind of manipulate it. That's exactly what I was looking for. So cool, cool. Okay, please congratulate my sister Hilda on her birthday. Happy birthday, Hilda. What's that? This is rainbow caramel, and then I have some chocolate in a bowl. We're making some rainbow caramel filled candy bars today. Pretty quick and easy overall. Okay, I do not need the microwave. Let me check on our shells to see how we're doing with our candy bars. Okay, perfect. So see, it's set very quick, which is really good. Okay, and then I like to add a little bit more melt around the sides, like all the perimeters, like the sides of the mold, to make sure it kind of reinforces the sides a little bit better, so that when we're popping it out, we're not going to have any cracking or anything like that happen. And to do that, we could fill it again like I did before, but like I said, because my bowl's like a little bit small, I don't have as many melts that I'm working with today, we're just going to use our spoon, which is the other method that I do. I can just pop in those little pieces and they're just going to melt right back in. Reposition this so you can see a bit better. Careful to not mess up the sides of the mold, of course, like I said, because it is kind of thin. Okay, and then I just use the back of our spoon and just kind of brush up the sides. We're not going to see the inside, so it does not need to be, you know, perfect or look the best, because it's going to be all covered. Like I said, the focus here is just to make sure that our sides are thicker to give it more stability. No, Lily. Low. She gets upset when she hears yard work happening next door. Stopping a punk. Hey. Hey. Excuse my pup. She's just kind of upset by the sounds. She goes really crazy for like blowers. Lil, chill. Yeah, if somebody's doing yard work next door or out front, she's just not happy. Besides that, she's very friendly. I know she sounds intimidating, but I know, you're such a big baby, huh? Okay, just doing this with all of them at the same time. And we could definitely clean these up before the melt set, but I can also use our offset spatula and heat it up a little bit with our kitchen torch. So I'll do that in a minute. Okay, and I think looks like we're all caught up with the chat. If you have any questions, just pop them in the chat. Feel free. Anybody new that's joining us, we are doing some rainbow caramel stuffed candy bars today. What are you making? Lily, stop. What am I making? We're doing rainbow stuffed candy bars. Rainbow caramel stuffed candy bars, I should say. I should specify that better. All right, so let's see. Hello, thank you for joining. Well, 1 second. Yeah, you got your access cut off, baby. It was actually nice this morning, so I decided to open up, and she can hear things obviously even more and is not happy about the yard work happening. So apologies for that. Okay, so we're gonna use our offset spatula. I'm cleaning it up a little bit because I still have some chocolate left on it. But we're gonna clean up the sides of our candy bars. So we're gonna clean up the sides and then we can add our caramel. And to do this, when it's already set like this, I like to take my offset spatula and kitchen torch. We're just gonna heat this up a little bit and then drag it across, scrape off that excess melts very carefully. And also clean off the offset spatula and reheat ever so often. That looks yummy, thank you. If you're just joining, we're making some rainbow caramel stuffed candy bars. I did share how I made the rainbow caramel last week in a longer shorts video, so make sure to check that out. Yeah, so we just don't even need to get all the stuff off. We just want to make sure that we clean up right next to the candy bar so it comes out really clean. Just kind of carefully scrape that away. We don't want to be too rough with it or else we might break the sides of the shell. But this set also a little bit faster because if the mold is cold from being in the fridge like this was, then it does set faster, of course. Kind of use that heat to melt it a little bit more. There we go. Is today your birthday? It is not. We had somebody else, I think her name was Hilda, that has a birthday in our chat today. Happy birthday, Hilda. What am I making? I am making rainbow caramel stuffed candy bars. Last week we worked with the rainbow caramel to make some rainbow caramel wrapped pretzel rods coated in chocolate with some rainbow sprinkles on it. So that was a lot of fun. That was our last live last week. There we go. Okay. Just a little bit thin in some spots. I might add just a little bit more, but we'll see. Let's clean up this other side really quick. Oop, I went down a little bit too deep on that one, so I'm going to go back and add some more melts to it. Okay, like I said, I keep cleaning off the offset spatula in between just to make sure that, you know, it stays nice and clean so I can heat it up and not have any kind of burnt chocolate from heating it up with the torch. I'm also scraping off some of the excess chocolate back into our chocolate bowl. Always try and reuse as much as I possibly can. Almost done cleaning up the bottom here. Do you have any children? I do not. I have my fur baby Lily, and she is the best girl ever. I do have a niece though. She has quite the personality. She's just turning 9 months old tomorrow. Okay. I think we're just about good, but like I said, there are a couple spots that I noticed that are a little bit thinner than I'd like them to be, so I think I'm going to pop my melts back into the microwave because you can see that they're mostly set here. So I'm going to do about 15 to 20 seconds. Do you have any dogs? Yes, I do. I have, my pup Lil is, she's technically not a puppy anymore, but I always call her pup. But she is a whole fun mix of Staffy, Husky, Malamute, and Lab. And she is turning 9 this year, which is so hard to believe that she's already going to be 9. But yeah, she's my big old baby. You might have heard her barking just a little bit ago because she's not a fan of when people are doing yard work, and especially using like those blowers. She just goes crazy. Okay, I did 15 seconds and it's really nice and melty again. So take our spoon. I think I'm actually going to take a smaller spoon this time. Get in a little more nooks and crannies. And especially like the corner over here, just a couple little spots that I just want to make sure that I'm able to kind of fill in a little bit more. Oh, got a little chunk that fell off over here. So we're gonna make that a little bit thicker. Do you have any cats? I don't, sadly. We had a cat a long time ago, but unfortunately she just disappeared one day, and it was very sad. But we did have a cat at one point, and we loved her very much. She was a sassy little tuxedo. Okay, I'm pretty happy overall with the rest of the thickness on this. Just a little bit more. Definitely gonna clean off my offset spatula because it's getting a bit gunky. And if the melt's completely set and it's kind of hard to clean it off, just run it under hot water and it'll take care of it really quick. Okay, overall that looks pretty good to me. I'm gonna clean up a little bit over here and then we can start adding our rainbow caramel. Who else has dogs and cats in the chat today? I'm also lightly remelting this so that it's easier for the melts to kind of combine and make that kind of wall instead of having it that can kind of like separate and crack a little bit easier. So I'm melting them down just a little bit. I think this one's gonna look a little funky on the side, but that's okay. Okay, and a little bit more. And just a few more spots. I have cats and dogs. Oh, that's great. How many do you have? And what kinds do you have? I feel like that's always very interesting. All the different personalities of the different breeds and everything. I feel like Lil can be very vocal because she is part husky, but luckily she doesn't do the husky screams that I always, I hear those stories online of like the cops being called because somebody thought someone was being attacked or something and it was just a husky. So luckily she doesn't do that kind of stuff. I'm very happy that she doesn't. But she definitely likes cuddles and attention, which I think is like, for the most part, most breeds, but I guess a Staffy trait is being very cuddly. Okay. I think I'm fairly happy with that. So now we can start working with our caramel. Full cat and one dog. Oh, is it 5 cats? That's great. I definitely would like to have more pets at some point. More fur babies, if you will. Okay, so let's start. So like I said, our caramel is nice and pliable right now, and I definitely need to make it thinner to fit these. So let's see, how do I want to do this? Well, let me get my paring knife out. Actually, probably my chef's knife would be a little bit better. So we can kind of cut these pieces down. Okay. So let's see. Hello, thank you for joining. Okay, we have our rainbow caramel here, and I'm going to try and stretch it a little bit so I can kind of make it fit the size of our mold here. Kind of our tester to see how to do this. Kind of gently pulling. My hands are nice and clean. Could also have your hands in gloves if you're trying to do something like this, but haha, I think that's like the perfect size. Okay, just a little bit thick up here. Can kind of work it into our space here. Give a little smush. We want it to give it a little bit of space on the top so we can fill it in with some more chocolate. But I always like to kind of push the bounds, to be honest, when it comes to that. I always have a tendency to overfill a bit, which, I mean, filling is the best part, so I don't mind a lot of filling. Definitely would have been easier if I had cut this beforehand, but we're making it work. So I also wasn't sure exactly how long to make it. Oh, it's gonna be so fun. Okay, I'm really excited. Okay, it is a little bit thick on top, but like I said, I do like to push those bounds. So we'll just be able to add some melts to the back and completely cover that. Okay. So let's do our other ones, and we can do our thicker one. I'm still trying to figure that one out because I do, like the piece I'm gonna use is like that. So I have a little bit of extra space on the side. So maybe I can kind of like give it a little smush, make it a little bit thicker like that, kind of like the reverse of what we're doing for these other ones, but we shall see. So we're just gonna gently pull, try and make it about that thick. This time I'm gonna measure it first and then cut it. Right there-ish. Well, that was definitely easier to cut. What is this? Thank you for joining. We are making some rainbow caramel stuffed candy bars. Okay, still a little bit too long, but we're gonna make it work. I definitely want a little bit easier and cleaner in there. Just carefully pressing it down. This side's a little bit on the thick side, so I'm trying to just smush a little bit more. Okay, looks pretty good though. Looks like chocolate. Yes, these are chocolate, our chocolate candy bar shells that we're working with our molds. And then we have our rainbow caramel that I made last week. And we are kind of stretching it out a little bit and popping it into the molds to stuff our candy bars. I did have 2 dogs, but now I have 1 and left for cat. Oh, I'm sorry, they only have 2 dogs, or they only have the 1 dog now, but what kind of dog is it? I actually got Lily when our cat, like later that same year, because I was just like, I'm so sad that I don't have my, you know, the sweet girl anymore. And I happened to find Lily. It was like kind of like that, you know, it's meant to be, the timing. I feel like things just kind of work out. And of course, my niece pup Penny, we actually found them at the same place on the same day, and it just kind of worked out. Okay. Varying degrees of thickness, but it's okay. All right, so let's get to our thicker one now, and then we're gonna be able to cover it up and pop them out of our molds. Let's see. Like I said, with this one, my idea is to kind of like compress it a little bit to thicken it up a bit, but I still have caramel on me. I think that might work. It's gonna be a thick candy bar, but I'm not mad at that. Just trying my best to keep all the colors about where they're supposed to be. This is the cookie butter salted caramel, so that's why it's so like pliable and easy to work with for the most part. This part doesn't want to combine up here. Squish, squish. A little bit of shaping, but that's actually, I feel like it's working out pretty well. It is getting a little bit thick though, so maybe I should kind of just kind of compress it like that too. This is a test. I have not done this version yet. I've done some candy bars, but it's been a little while. And I have not done the rainbow caramel, so. Yeah, a little more. I did have 2 dogs with 91. Now I have 1 cat, and I got 4. What do you mean by full cast? I'm kind of curious. Okay, this part in the middle was being a little bit of a pain. I'm gonna cut that, and we're just gonna have, well, I'm gonna try and keep it all in one piece. I'm trying. Here, let's see if we can kind of. That actually might work. Okay, I'm gonna cut it at that weird spot. That's the spot I wanted to get rid of anyway. And because of the thickness, I think we're gonna be able to press it down and fill in the rest of our space. Okay, as long as I get a nice caramel pull, that's all I care about. Just press it down and shape it. Obviously not pressing so hard that we kind of ruin our mold, our chocolate shell that we've made here. And like I said, this is definitely like thicker, but I will just add a little extra on the back. It's not going to be perfectly flat, but I don't totally care about that. I'm not doing this as a professional chocolate person. I just like to have fun and switch it up with what I make. Okay, I think that looks pretty good. I'm gonna wash my hands again. Honestly, this actually went even a little bit easier than I was expecting it to. So I'm actually pretty happy with how the caramel can be shaped like this. I'm just very excited for that caramel pull. I'll have to film a video with that later. But the melts are setting a little bit on the outside, so I'm going to pop this in the microwave for like maybe 10 seconds. Not very much at all. Hello, thank you for joining. Okay, and then I'm going to have my kitchen torch ready to go because just like how I added stuff over here, I want to make sure that I can just kind of very lightly remelt the shell that we already have down the sides. And then when I add more melts on top, then it should help kind of seal things in a little bit better. I didn't have 2 cats, 2 dogs. I'm sorry, Chloe, I'm not sure totally what you mean. We're giving our melts a mix here. Might have to do like 10 more seconds because of the extra set melts from the sides, but. Okay. I'm gonna pop that back in, like I said, for 10 more seconds. We look good. There's no pieces or anything like that. So we're just going to pour it over the top and then kind of carefully, usually I would use my offset spatula to scrape off the top and get rid of excess melts. And because the caramel is a little bit, too far up the sides, then I'm just going to add some melt to make sure it's covered and not do the excess scraping. Because of course I don't want to expose our caramel. I want to make sure it's all covered. I am cleaning off my offset spatula just in case I want to clean up anything. Okay, let's start with this one. I want to make sure it's constantly moving or we're not melting it too much, just enough to very lightly melt it. I'm going to pour some on here to make it go a little bit faster. Let that stuff settle, and we can kind of try and clean up the sides a little bit here. It's not gonna be perfect. We'll just get the excess onto the parchment paper and I can just pop off the extra pieces that are already set. Hello, thank you for joining. Happy Friday, everybody. I feel like the week went by really fast. I feel like we were just doing last week's live. Okay. And let's do our other ones. And we'll pop this into, and you see some little air bubbles kind of like right there. We can pop it with a little stick tool. Kind of fill it in a little bit. Ooh, and we could also add like some Oreo cookies on the back of this or something like that. I think for today, I'm just gonna keep them fairly plain. So the caramel shall be the focus. Oh, and I almost forgot to do a little melting with the kitchen torch. I want to keep it constantly moving, not have it any one spot for too long, because then that'll lead to burning. Okay, these ones we have a little bit more space on, so I can do a little bit more of a clean scrape. Like that. In there. One's a little bit thicker, so I might add a little bit more melts back on there. Okay. So let's pop these into the fridge so they can fully set. You can already see them starting to set because it starts to get kind of more of a matte finish than the kind of glossy, shiny finish it has right there. So let me pop these in there and then we can get one of them out and break it and see how it looks inside. Alrighty, so we're gonna let that set for a sec. So if we have any questions, make sure to pop them in the chat. Let me know what you're doing this weekend. Do you have any fun plans? It's actually not too hot this weekend, so I'm really, I mean, I love swimming in the summer, but I'm actually kind of happy that it's not so overwhelmingly hot like it was just even a couple weeks ago. Yeah, what are you guys up to this weekend? And today is actually the first day of summer. I just remembered that. So happy first day of summer. Thank you once again for joining the live. And I think I mentioned earlier, but for anybody that's just joining, we have this week's theme for shorts was the tie-dye cupcake week. Last week was rainbow week, which is where on the last day I made this rainbow caramel and all that good stuff. Of course, we have next week coming up as well with more shorts theme. Next week is actually one that I'm really excited about because I love spooky season. I like spooky stuff. And next week is Summerween themed. So kind of like combining spooky and summer themed items. And I think that's gonna be a lot of fun. So make sure to check out all that fun stuff. I am not seeing any new questions pop in the chat. I'm gonna give the candy bars just a little bit longer to set before I get them out of the fridge. But let me see, I feel like that's all the updates. I feel like June is going by super fast. So that's kind of crazy. But yeah, I think, I feel like that's everything for now. And of course, next week we'll have our next live once again. So make sure to come and check that out. Same time, same day, 10 a.m. Pacific time on Friday. If it changes, I'll let you guys know ahead of time. So, but I also try to make sure to start to schedule those again so that you can see, you know, the schedule coming up of what we're gonna be doing. Yeah, I think I've blabbed enough with the reminders. Let me go check on the candy bars. Okay, still taking a little bit longer to set. Just a little bit more time. Keep accidentally getting chocolate on my hands. Okay, and like I said, this one, I haven't mentioned it yet. This one is a little bit more of our kind of average or longer live. We do have some of them that are shorter. So make sure to check out all that fun stuff. And yeah, I've also been testing out longer shorts. So I hope that, I'm just kind of playing with chocolate at this point. I've been testing out longer shorts to see how you guys like those. So let me know your thoughts on those, like longer shorts, since they now allow up to 3 minutes. I've been trying to make them a little bit longer, a little bit more detailed, and kind of more of like a shortened tutorial because the regular under a minute shorts were so rushed and I couldn't really talk much about stuff. So I hope you guys are enjoying those. Like I said, let me know your thoughts. Maybe I should take a poll at some point to see what everybody thinks about that. Okay. Not seeing any questions pop in the chat. Like I said, let me know if you have any questions or any suggestions of things that you'd like to see. For Summerween next week, of course, we have a variety of mini cake and cupcake and all that kind of fun stuff. And here's just another look at our fun caramel while we're waiting for our candy bars to set. That's one of my favorite things about the cookie butter salted caramel is it has a really nice pull to it and that it, like it just looks so satisfying and that it is very pliable to work with. So that's, and also just the flavor in general is really, really good. So it has a great mixture of things going for it. Okay. Let's see. I'm gonna check on the candy bars again. Hopefully they are set. Okay, it appears like they're done. So let's pop out. I know this one, the side was like a little bit messed up, so we can pop that one out and see how our nice caramel pull is. We could also decorate this if we want to. It just pulls out really nicely. That's why I like the silicone molds, especially with using the melts instead of tempered chocolate. It works out really nicely. So the sides are a little bit gunky, but overall not too bad. So let's just pop the rest of these out of the molds. And of course, to do the caramel pull, it is better to have the caramel a little bit more at room temperature. But of course, these melts can get a little bit melty in your hands at room temperature, so let's set this mold to the side. And then I think, yeah, this one's ready to go too. Oh, look how nice that looks. See, there's only like one little pesky air bubble. For the most part, it looks nice and clean, exactly like the pattern that we want. And we can kind of like, I don't know, just kind of pop some little excess pieces off on our parchment paper. I like to just kind of lightly press the sides. It usually takes care of things like that. Pretty quick and easy. Let's see, I'm trying to clean up some of our excess chocolate pieces so I can pop them just back into our bowl. And then we could add a little bit of sprinkles to one of these and then pop it open. Gorgeous. Thank you. Thank you, sister. Okay. So we can do a couple different kinds of decorations here. Once again, I've got to clean my hands. Okay. Let's see. We could do a drizzle, but I feel like that would kind of, I don't know, mess things up a little bit. So let's do to one of these ones over here since we have some extras. I'm going to kind of use my kitchen torch to just very lightly melt the top of it. And we're going to add some fun, bright sprinkles. Let's go with this one. We just want to make it look shiny. I'm going to constantly have our kitchen torch moving. We don't want to have it too close or set on there. It'll start to mess with the shape of the bar. I want to immediately add our sprinkles. We just want to lightly melt it so we can get our sprinkles to stick, basically. I can see it starting to set. We don't want to use the kitchen torch too much on it either because it does kind of get a little bit streaky because the heat affects the melts. So that's something to be careful of, but this is like a easy way to kind of decorate it. And like I said, you could do drizzle, but I feel like because of the shapes of the bars that the drizzle doesn't always look as good. Okay. So that's just a quick example of how we could decorate it really fast, but who is ready for a caramel pull? To see what one of our candy bars looks like broken open. And then I definitely am taking a video. I'm saving this one. So that's one that we're going to keep for later so I can do a really cool breaking it open for the camera with that one. But we're going to break this one open. So let me see. Any excitement in the chat? I feel like everybody's so quiet today. I know it's Friday. Everybody's tired. It's been a long week. Okay, well, we're going to break this open and that'll finish off our live for today. One more look around. We're going to snap it. Oh, that looks so cool. This is exactly what I was hoping it would look like. Yay! And it just keeps going. Okay, I love that. I really like the way that turned out. One more time. That's a lot of insulin for me. Well, that's why you'd only have like a little bit. It's a treat after all. But I'm definitely very excited with how our nice caramel pull worked out here. One more time. Wow, it's so satisfying. And that's another reason I love, like I said, this cookie butter salted caramel is it has a really great caramel pull. It stays together pretty well. So, hello, thank you for joining. But yummy. Definitely. You can't go wrong with a nice like dark chocolate melt and caramel pairing. That's just, it's the best. That's pretty. Thank you so much. And like I said, I will definitely record this and have to do a special shorts video for that at some point. I don't think I'm gonna be able to get it out today because I already have too many projects on deck and some plans tonight. So, but I will definitely work on making a video for that because it's gonna be so satisfying. Maybe even do like slow-mo or something. So, let's see. That is pretty much the end of our live. If we have any questions to pop into the chat, let me know how you like the rainbow caramel filled candy bars here. And I think I gave you guys all the updates, but like I said, just keep checking out the shorts videos every day. Like I said, they've been a little bit longer recently, especially for this week with tie-dye cupcake week. Almost all of them have been, you know, over a minute, so I can actually describe it a little bit more and kind of give it a little bit more of like a shortened tutorial. So I hope you guys are enjoying that, and make sure to check out next week when Summerween content is going up. I'm very excited about that. And live next week, same time, same day, Friday at 10 a.m. And make sure to keep checking back for more content. I'm not seeing any new questions pop in the chat, so we're gonna call that the end of our live for today. Thank you all so much for joining, for being so responsive in the chat. It's been really great seeing everybody pop in and say hi. I really hope you guys have a great day and a lovely weekend. Try and stay cool out there. But in the meantime, I will see you guys soon.